Oi! Real Pros! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Richard C., your real property expert. So, I know you've been requesting for a lot of property reviews, different properties, but I'd like to let you know na medyo mahirap gumawa ng property review. One, because of the editing, it takes time. Second is I have to analyze the property one by one. Third, it's about giving the right evaluation in the investor's point of view. Because nga, it takes time and I really do want to entertain all your requests because at the end of the day, I enjoy making property reviews and if time permits, gusto ko talaga gumawa ng maraming property review. Kung pwede lang reviewin ko lahat ng property review dito sa Philippines, ginawa ko na. But I appreciate you guys na you're really looking forward to my opinions. I appreciate you guys na parang you value my inputs and you value my opinion about this certain property. However nga, because of time constraint, because I'm not a full-time content creator or I'm not a full-time YouTuber, I have a full-time job, so medyo limited yung capacity ko to do property reviews for now. Because I want to grant as many requests as possible, what I'm gonna do is this. All your property review requests from the comments, binasa ko lahat yan. And because I want to answer all your requests as much as I could, but I cannot review it due to time constraint. Ito yung gagawin natin. This is like parang jojowain or trotropahin condominium version. And then I have some placards here. So, and I will choose whether I would buy and flip the property, I would rent or long-term hold the property, or I would reject the property. And I will give a few comments about the property, but this is not property review. This is not detailed property review, but rather just giving my quick opinion about the property para may idea rin ka. But then, before ko ibigay disclaimer, inom muna ako ng tea. Tignan niyo yung mug ko, Christmas na Christmas, green and red. Okay? Before we start, I'd like to give a disclaimer. Again, this is only my opinion whether if I will buy, hold, or reject the property. This is only in my perspective as an investor. This is not based on the real estate market and the sentiments of other people. So, ready? Let's start, Real Pros! Okay, for our first property, we have Arcovia. For Arcovia by Megaworld, I think I would have this for rent or long-term hold because again of the location. Hindi pa siya masyadong developed, that area. C5 Pasig. If you were watching my previous vlog, they are in the right position. Plus, medyo kompleto siya. So, you have your lander stores, you have your food outlets. So, it's another community that they're really building. And I like the open space plan and yung pagkakagawa ng property. But I think the property is in the right location that hindi pa talaga naman na-develop. So, yes! Rent and long-term hold for Arcovia. Megor. Next property, we have ACQUA Private Residences. ACQUA Private Residences, I think it's still rent and long-term hold. So, ACQUA Private Residences was one of the first property investments na minorket ko because I'd always believed in its potential. Unfortunately, until now, medyo matagal pa rin. Kumbaga, hindi pa rin talaga siya nag-peak because there are certain factors that impacts the property. Pero, being near Rockwell with half the price, there's really a strong potential. But currently kasi ginagawa pa yung bridge between the two cities which happens to be Makati and Mandaluyong. So for me, I think this is a dark horse property. So it's rent for long-term hold. Kasi if you flip the short term, baka hindi ka rin masyadong kumita because medyo mahirap din mag-resell sa property na to kasi marami rin nagsasell. So for those of you who owns this property, I suggest you hold on to it a little bit longer. Kasi I think next year yung 3 years renovation ng bridge between the two cities is gawa na. So it's easy access to Rockwell, to Makati, and to other business districts. So next, Azure Urban Residences. Because the concept of an urban oasis in the middle of the bustling city is okay. Maganda, walang point on. And then they even got Paris Hilton to model for this property. But then again, there is something wrong with the market positioning. If you really want like a vacation resort type luxury condominium, I think the positioning should be in the Bay Area. Let's say for example in Quezon City and not in the BC Service Road, no? Or I think near Bikutan, something like that. But then again, this is only my opinion. So for now, Azure Urban Residences is reject. The next property is Azure North is the property in Pampanga. For Azure North, I think it's buy and flip for me because as I've always said, Pampanga will be the next big thing. So any property in Pampanga, I think would be okay. Kanina reject yung Azure in Parañaque because of the positioning. So for this one naman, I think it's in the right location. You can make Pampanga as for example as your weekend home or vacation home, no? If you want to go out to Manila and you just want to relax. So for me, I think this is another property that we need to look forward to. So I think it's buy and flip for me. Okay, inom muna ulit ako. Cheers, REALPROs! Next is, ito bagong-bago, SMDC meet. So I still don't have time to review this one, to do a detailed review. Pero naka-line up naman siya. But for now, I think SMDC meet is long-term hold for me. Again, because of its positioning. I'm only basing this from yung mga properties na katabi niya. There's a lot of properties for sale and there's a lot of people who are trying to sell or liquidate their properties. These are San Lorenzo Place and other small developers along Chino Roses or Pasong Tamok. No? But for sure naman, you'll get capital appreciation here. Pero I think it won't be that quick to flip this property. But again, it's a good property to hold long-term for rent because it's positioned in two property which happens to be Pasay and Makati. So this is long-term hold. Next property we have there, Light 2. So Light 2. So I think for Light 2 it's rent and long-term hold as well. The problem why I cannot flip Light 2 because it's quite expensive already. Yung selling price niya medyo mataas na. And again, Light 1 is not meeting the expected performance, of course. But Light 2 is quite different now. Light 2 is the upscale version of Light Residences. I think in this property, they can correct everything na maling ginawa nila dun sa Light 1. One good thing about SMDC is they learn from their mistakes. No? They don't repeat mistakes na ginawa sa development. If you will see SMDC as a developer, parang they continuously improve their development compared to sa mga first properties na nilaunch nila. So, Light 2 is in a nice location as well. But then, again, I think it's rent and long-term hold before you sell it in the future. Okay. Ito, most requested ngayon. It's Camden Residences. Let me explain this, why it's rent and long-term hold. Because I know a lot of you would expect me to answer flip for this property. Pero kasi this property, sobrang laki talaga ng potential niya. And because the potential is too big, sayang naman if you flip mo kagad yung property, you're not able to maximize the profit. So Camden Residences is in the right market positioning. It has the right target market. So the target market are exclusive schools around the area. Schools where students can afford for a high rental price for this property. But then again, as I said, it's long-term rent because it's going to give you continuous income for many years. And despite many years, meron pa rin bibili sa property na to. Why? Because meron magka-college dun sa area na yon, and eventually the parents would like to buy a property pag nag-college yung anak nila sa area na yun. Okay? So for me, Camden Residences is rent and long-term hold to maximize the profit, of course. Okay, Bloom Residences. If you look at it, it's 10 kilometers from both business district of Makati and BGC. Being 10 kilometers away from this business district, ano siya parang medyo malayo siya. And we all know na medyo traffic yung dadaanan mong area. So, it takes time to be connected in those cities. Wala siyang future plan for subway. So, for me, it's reject. But then again, opinion ko lang to because I rarely go to the south. But it's 3.5 kilometers from Alabang, I think. So, if you're working from the south, I think you can buy this property. But it's more positioned for end-use residential. So, it's reject for me. Empire is Highlands. So, Empire is Highlands is, again, a reject for me. Just because I do feel na, but I think there's strong potential for this property because it's the first township in that area in Rizal, if I'm not mistaken. Pero the reason why I'm rejecting this property kasi I think na if you're staying in the Rizal area or the suburban areas outside Metro Manila, I think it's important na there's a lot of options to buy house and lot, to buy lands for example, and then just build house. There's nice subdivisions in that area. So what's really the point of condominium living in that area? Again, that's my only reason for rejecting this property. So it's a reject. Sorry. Okay, next. So next property is Allegra Garden Place. So for Allegra Garden Place, I'm not decided whether to buy and flip or to rent out the property. It's a good property both for rent because obviously it's a DMCI property, so that's quite given. But then again, it's a good property then for maximizing income because if you look at the positioning of Allegra Garden Place, it's one of the most affordable property in that area. So there's really room or growth for capital appreciation. But then again, you would like to maximize profit. You would like to hold it long term. Maybe you can double your money back in the future. So while it's a property I recommend for buy and flip, I suggest to just hold it for long term. Clear? Okay. Tea break. So I hope you're liking this segment as an alternative property review because we're going on holiday breaks soon now. So wala akong team and you know it takes a village to create a YouTube video. So yes. Okay, so let's continue. Few more properties. Let's have Alder Residences. So Alder Residences, it's rent and long-term hold for me because I think the area in Acacia is really meant for rental income. If you look at properties that were developed in Acacia Estates or in Taguig, these properties are medyo high in terms of occupancy now. So they usually have low vacancy rate because the property was sold for a low price. Even though the rental is not that high, investors in this area are still yielding well. However, for Alder Residences, medyo mataas yung launching price niya. So it's one of the most expensive condominiums in Acacia Estates. So I think you can flip this but not really that quick or not really upon turnover. So I think it's a good property for rent or long-term hold, maybe at least 5 years after turnover, and then that's the time you sell the property. Because yun nga, mataas na yung launching price ng Alder Residences. But then again, Mahogany is a good area, especially for house and lot. So it's an area I would like to live in as well if I'm living sa house and lot. Or if I'm staying sa house and lot. So for me, it's rent and long-term hold for Alder Residences. And then you have the Ellis by Megaworld property in Salcedo. No? So I think for the Ellis, I think you can buy and flip this property because there are actually less options in Salcedo Village. So, however, again, the price right now is so high. So, if you're going to buy an Ellis, I think you have to look for a Pasalo property. There are people selling Ellis at a bit lower price. So, you can make income pa. So, for me, the Ellis is a buy and flip property. Okay, next. Your next request is Vion Residences. It depends kung British or American ka. It's how you pronounce it, Vion or Vion. Again, for Vion Residences, while it's a good property for rent, I think it could go to buy and flip. Because I think the strategy for this condominium is to exit before everyone else does. It's across mid residences pero medyo mas may premium yung other side na yun in terms of its positioning. So, I think it's a buy and flip property just because parang hindi ka maipit. The property is one of the tallest residential towers in Makati. And the concept of the property is really nice. Pero I suggest na parang hindi ka lang maipit, you buy and flip the property. Because while a lot of people would still like to buy in this property, maybe during the first year of the turnover, after some time, baka it's not as marketable anymore or it's not as in demand as anymore. I think you have to exit the first 5 years upon turnover. So it's buy and flip for me. The next property is Cirrus by Robinson's Residences. So for Cirrus, it's buy and flip again for me, especially if you were able to get it at a launching price. If you will look at the positioning of Cirrus, it's near Velaris. And Velaris by Robinsons and Hong Kong Land is technically double the price than what you're paying in Cirrus. But then again, they share the same common area. They share, not the facilities, the common area, the open space, parang the residential compound. It's near expensive properties as well, such as Parklinks by Ayala, Lattice by Alveo, and then you have other developments like Circulo Verde. Again, a good concept of the principle of progression. Therefore, I think property prices in Cirrus will be affected dahil sa mga katabi niyang luxury properties. So, it's a very good property for buy and flip. Actually, meron nata sa inventory namin ngayon, pasalo property sa Cirrus. So, gusto ko sanang bilhin kaya lang parang na-overbuy na ako this year. So, if you guys interested, you know where you can contact me, I'll put my email in the details below. Kasi right now, medyo mataas nata yung prices sa developer. Pero if you can buy a pasalo property, it's a bit lower ng 500,000 to 1 million pesos than the developer's price. So, it's a good property to buy and flip. Mataas na siya sa developer and sold out na rin ata siya. So, yeah. It's a good property to buy and flip. And oh, okay. So, tapos na. Okay, so REALPROs, again, thank you very much for commenting down your requests for property reviews. I hope this was helpful. Kahit hindi siya detailed property review, I hope this was useful. And again, thank you again for valuing my opinion. If you did enjoy this segment, please comment it down below. Please comment, I enjoyed it, para alam ko. And if I missed out on any properties, again, please comment it below. And because pag marami nag-enjoy ng segment na to, gagawa ulit ako ng ganitong segment. But then again, it's only based on my opinion, so please don't go hard on me sa comments. Whether you agree or disagree, let me know, but take it easy. So don't forget to follow me on my social media accounts, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click that ring button so you will be notified for new videos. Again, this is Richard C. wishing you a Merry Christmas, stay safe, and enjoy the celebrations. Bye, REALPROs!